And we are going to go into Genesis 49:2, Genesis 49:10, and we're going to look at this deep proclamation of the Messiah, which we're going to find inside of Scripture, which is going to blow your mind. This is when Jacob is praying over all of his sons, and he prays about their future coming, and basically what's going to be the outcome of the tribes of Israel, ladies and gentlemen. And look what he goes on to say. When he goes down, he talks about all of them, but about Judah, he stops in 49:9, and look what he breaks down. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, you have gone up. Really, we can start from 8, actually. Judah, your brothers shall praise you. Your hand shall be on the neck of your enemies. Your father's son shall bow down to you. Thank you. And it says, Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, you've gone up. He couches, he lies down as a lion, and as a lion, who dare rouses him? And then this part, 49:10, is really where we want to focus on. It says that the scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet, until Shiloh comes. And to him shall be the obedience of the peoples. I always have this phrase that I say, which talks about the kingship coming to Judah, but that God himself never truly desired the kingship to be with a human being, with a man. That God should have always been the king over Israel. And when you read that in the book of Samuel, when the people embraced Saul as the king, when they asked God for a king, God himself tells Samuel that it wasn't a rejection of Samuel when they asked for a king, but rather it was a rejection of the God of Israel. So when we are looking at the scriptures and we're thinking about kingship, remember, the kingship, the crown, should never belonged to a human being. It should have always been the prerogative and the right of the God of Israel, that he should be a king over his people. But because of the rebellion of the people, they decided to push God off. But even before Israel ever had a king, here was this proclamation through Jacob going down to Judah, that Judah would have rulership and he would have the ruler's staff, and that the scepter will not depart from him until what? Until Shiloh comes. The question is, ladies and gentlemen, who is this Shiloh? In Zechariah 9:9, there's one of the most famous rabbis to exist. His name is Rabbi Saadia Gaon. And I want us to look at what he says about this passage. On this passage, he says, look what he says. This is Rabbi Saadia Gaon. Look at what he says, which is going to be so amazing, because oftentimes we get told that we don't put the passages together, right? That we don't really know what we're talking about. That Zechariah 9:9 isn't about the ultimate Messiah. It's not about Yeshua. It can't ultimately be about the Messiah. But look at what it says here, which is going to blow your mind, okay? It says, Rabbi Saadia Gaon, this rabbi from the 900s, look what he says. He says, as a sign of humility, the Messiah will come riding on a donkey. Zechariah 9:9. Rabbi Saadia Gaon, an Orthodox rabbi, is telling us that the Messiah will come on a donkey. That Zechariah 9:9 is about the Messiah. And then he does the most amazing thing. Please screenshot this. It says that this same Messiah will, however, be accompanied by the clouds of heaven, i.e. the angels of heaven. And he cross-references it to Daniel 7:13. I love this, all right? Now let's look. So this gets a little crazy, but look at what he says. And then we're going to try to highlight this, okay? Look, he says that the Messiah will come humbly, right? Like it says in Zechariah 9:9. Oh, come on. What are you doing to me, right? What are you doing to me? Let me see if this works. Okay. Zechariah 9:9. And then he also says he'll come with the clouds of heaven, just like Daniel 7:13 says. So let's go back. Let's see what Daniel 7:13 says. Look what Daniel 7:13 says. And remember, this is all about authority, power, and dominion. Yes, Mary Gonzalez, 100%. You hit it on the head. The Messiah comes riding into Jerusalem on a donkey. And look what it says, right? I kept looking. Now, Saadia Gaon, this rabbi, says, look, Zechariah 9:9 also matches up with Daniel 7:13. It talks about two comings of the Messiah. Okay? Now look what the passage says. It says, I kept looking in the night visions, and behold, with the clouds of heaven, one like a son of man was coming up to the Ancient of Days, and it was presented before him. And to him, unto the Son of Man, was given dominion, glory, kingdom, that all peoples, nations, and men of every language might serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which will not pass away, and his kingdom is one which will not be destroyed. You know, we go back, Genesis 49:10, right? Unto him, unto Shiloh, shall be the obedience of the people, that the people will follow and obey this one who is the Shiloh to come. We go forward, Zechariah 9:9, what does it do? Zechariah 9:9 tells us that the king who is coming comes on a donkey. And then the rabbis tell us this same king who comes on a donkey, right, is also going to be the same one who comes on the clouds of heaven, the one who was given all authority, power, and dominion, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't that fire? Come on. What are we talking about? And to him was given authority, power, and dominion. How is it possible for another being who is not God himself to have the ability to approach God himself, and from God, from the Ancient of Days, from the Father, receives authority, power, and dominion? He receives glory. What glory? This is the glory of God, that all people, nations, and men of every language might serve him, right? His dominion's everlasting dominion. All right, so let's do this. All right, so we're going to go into these passages. Second Temple Jewish interpretation. Look at this. So we went to Genesis 49:10, saying until Shiloh comes, we're saying this is the Messiah. The Septuagint, which is the pre-Christian Greek translation, reads, a ruler from Judah will not come to an end, nor hegemony from between his legs until that one who is set apart, the Shiloh, comes, and in him will be the expectation of the nations, ladies and gentlemen. In this instance, scepter again stands for ruler. Hegemony is the definition of staff. The one who is set apart is the translation of Shiloh, and the nations are the ill-defined peoples. So sometimes people say that it would be to him who it belongs, but Shiloh, I believe, even according to the Septuagint, is an actual name of the Messiah who would come ultimately in the end of days, according to the Septuagint. And then the Sea Scrolls, look at what they say. Though technically not an exposition, this is the Qumran, this is 4K 252, okay? Though technically not an exposition, this text is in fact a running commentary in which scepter is a ruler, ruler staff is the covenant, Shiloh is the branch of David, and obedience of the people is the assembly of certain men. This is going to blow your mind, ladies and gentlemen. Inside of the Dead Sea Scrolls, which predate the writings of the New Testament, right? They predate even the Mishnaic material and the rabbinic material. Look at what Jews understood in the time of and before the time of Yeshua. Look what they write. Look what they write about it. A ruler shall not depart from the tribe of Judah when Israel has dominion. And the one who sits on the throne of David shall never be cut off, because the ruler's staff is the covenant of the kingdom. And the thousands of Israel are the feet until the righteous Messiah, the branch of David, has come. For to him and to his seed, the covenant of the kingdom of his people has been given for the eternal generation, because he has kept the law with the men of the Yachad. Men of the Yachad is the assembly of his people, the Yachad. For the obedience of the people is the assembly of the men. So basically, the Qumran community believe that they are the ones of the new covenant. They believe they're in the new covenant, and they believe that their teacher of righteousness is the one that took them to the right standing. But either way, they still have this interpretation. While you would disagree with them about that, they still have this phenomenal interpretation. They say that the ruler's staff is the covenant of the kingdom. And look, the righteous Messiah is the branch of David. And this is all associated with the ruler shall not depart from the tribe of Judah. And all of this commentary here is talking about the passage of what we are talking about, with the idea of a ruler, the idea of the tribe of Judah, the idea of the righteous Messiah and the branch and kingdom, that this is all, ladies and gentlemen, about the Messiah, period, point blank. This is all the way going back to Genesis 49:10, that the one who is the ruler, ladies and gentlemen, is the Messiah himself. Now, Targum Onkelos, which is an Aramaic translation, says, he who exercises dominion, this is on Genesis 49:10, shall not pass away from the house of Judah. He who exercises dominion, right? So what are we talking about? Nor the Safra, the scribe, from his children's children forever, until the Meshicha, which is Messiah in Aramaic, okay? Whose is the kingdom, and unto him shall be the obedience of the nations, of whom they shall obey. Ladies and gentlemen, come on, as we're looking on down, Genesis 49:10, this passage, as the rabbis are understanding it, let's go back to it. This passage is 100% talking about what? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet until Shiloh comes. Targum Jonathan, which is another Targum translation, look what he says right here. It says, it's also called the Yerushalmi. So Targum Jonathan has two names. It's called Targum Jonathan or the Yerushalmi, the Jerusalem Targum. He says, king shall not cease, nor rulers from the house of Judah, nor scribes, teaching the law from his seed, till the time that the king Messiah shall come, who will arise from Judah. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how they translated Genesis 49:10. In the Aramaic, they're saying that this Shiloh is the Messiah, ladies and gentlemen, who would ultimately come, which is mind-blowing, because we know what it says about the king who will ultimately come and rule over God's people. He's not just going to be a human being. He's going to be God himself, who's going to die for his people. Look at what it says. And the fragmentary Targums are usually the most interesting. Look what it says. Kings shall not cease from the house of Judah, nor scribes who teach the Torah from his children's children forever until the time of the coming of King Messiah, right? So it's always saying that there's going to be the established order until King Messiah comes. Genesis 49:12, look at this commentary on Genesis 49:12. It reads, how beautiful to behold are they, the eyes of who? Of King Messiah, ladies and gentlemen, of King Messiah. More so than pure wine, not looking upon incest and the shedding of innocent blood. His feet are pure, according to the halakha, the Jewish way of walking, refraining from partaking of that which is taken by violence or robbery. His mountains shall be red with wine, his hills shall be white with abundance of grain and flocks of sheep, ladies and gentlemen. The Targums agree 100% that this Shiloh is a person who is the Messiah. The Hebrew Midrash Rabbah Genesis, Judah is a lion's whelp. Rabbi Chama ben Rachina says this alludes to Messiah, the son of David, ladies and gentlemen. The Messiah, son of David. Okay, so that's what's telling. Midrash Rabbah is a rabbinic text, okay? If you are looking for an inexpensive English one, they're kind of hard to find, but Sonsino does have an edition out that's a little bit older that you can still get. That is all in English, and it says that this passage, Judah's a lion's whelp, this alludes to the Messiah, son of David, okay? And then Midrash Rabbah Genesis also says, until Shiloh comes, this indicates that all the nations of the world will bring a gift to Messiah, the son of David, okay? Let's go on down. We'll keep this thing going. Midrash Rabbah on Genesis here says, the scepter shall not depart from Judah. This refers to the throne of kingship. The throne given of God is forever and ever. As scepter of equity is a scepter of your kingdom. When will that be? Nor the ruler's staff from between his feet. When he comes, of whom it is written, the crown of pride of the drunkards of Ephraim shall be trodden under foot. So we know Shiloh is a person according to this section. And look, on 49:11, look what it says. Binding his foal unto the vine, Rabbi Judah, Rabbi Nehemiah, and the rabbis discussed this verse. Rabbi Judah explained it. When a vine has a poor yield, an ass is tied to it. And this too is the meaning of, and his ass is called, unto the choice vine, and b'nei athono, unto the choice vine means morally strong. Okay? The rabbis interpreted, I said God am abound to the vine and the choice vine, which is Israel. His foal and his colt intimate when he will come, pay attention, he will come. Sometimes you got to go through all of this before you get to the part that's important. This is all until he will come, of whom it is written, lowly and riding upon a donkey, even upon the colt, the foal of a donkey, ladies and gentlemen. So what are we talking about here? The rabbis themselves are saying that Shiloh is about the one who's going to come in Zechariah 9:9, who is riding upon a donkey. The Babylonian Jerusalem Talmud, and then we're going to get into some New Testament texts, and we're going to drive this thing home, okay? The New Testament, the Babylonian and Jerusalem Talmuds themselves have context. Sanhedrin 98b, where we were, also mentions about Shiloh. We're going to break it down and see what it says. Look at this. Check this out. Rav said the world was created only for the sake of David. And this is the rabbis talking in the Babylonian Talmud. It says, but Samuel said for the sake of Moses. But Rabbi Yochanan said for the sake of the Messiah. And they say, what is his name? They're asking, ladies and gentlemen, what is the name of the Messiah? And they say, what is his name? The school of Rabbi Shiloh said his name is, look at this. According to the Babylonian Talmud, they say that his name is Shiloh, ladies and gentlemen. His name is Shiloh. Isn't that fire? For it is written, until Shiloh comes. Clearly, there were some authorities at the time who saw obvious messianic undertones for the term Shiloh. So here we go. And then so that's basically it, and then this thing kind of keeps going. So I wanted us to look at these passages, show that the rabbis themselves, okay, rabbis themselves are seeing Shiloh as a name of the Messiah. And when we put together the passages that we are linking together, we are seeing that this imagery of Shiloh and the Messiah to come cannot just be a human being. He has to be God himself. He comes lowly and humble, but he also comes on the clouds of heaven. And that he winds up reconciling all things self, being from David.